Hello, and welcome to How to Play D&D, the Explainer podcast, where one experienced dungeon master and one failed scriptwriter discuss D&D topics. My name is McCaffery, and my ridiculously inadequate pod partner is Connor Kinsey. I hate you. I hate this.
Hello.
I feel my face bulging of saying that.
I didn't do the funny faces though.
No. I felt myself instinctively start leaning as well, swinging.
Because you get into the rhythm of saying it in a certain way. It's
great.
You did forget one thing in the intro.
What did I say?
It's a Halloween special.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
you've ruined my intro, but okay, I've not finished yet.
Shit, okay.
But anyway, on this random week, how's life? How are you doing, Connor?
Yeah, I'm alright actually. I just realised this is flopping about, unlike something else that doesn't flop. I wish it would.
No. Hey, flops whenever I'm around. We both know that much.
Yeah. That's not a good thing, is it?
No.
Good.
How's your week been? Up to anything much?
Right. Try not to fucking kill myself. Yeah. But it's because it's in the spirit of a regular day.
Yeah, a regular day. I can see you failing, but I'm trying to do that, but also I'm also failing. So.
Is there any reason you're dressed up?
Hey, you'll want to talk. You know what?
I always dress like this.
Yeah, true.
If any listeners start watching the videos, they'll see there's over 60 videos of me dressed exactly like this.
That's a different website, I think you'll find, and it's not Spotify. But anyway, now today's episode is a little different than usual. Similar to our Christmas one, we're changing things up a bit with an episode all about everyone's favourite source of diabetes and the only time of year when it's okay to dress up as my high school chemistry teacher and chase Indiana Jones through a temple.
What the fuck? Is a temple a metaphor?
No.
Euphemism?
Yeah, sure. I was on about more the giant boulder, but...
okay,
yeah. Anyone that went to high school with me will know what I'm talking about. Can you guess what that holiday is? And I'm asking this on October the 29th.
It's Hanukkah.
It's actually not. It's Easter. Let's get to it. So today's episode is all about Halloween, a holiday where if you're normal, you'll probably use it as an excuse to dress slutty, but if you're a nerd like us, you'll probably be sat at home drinking copious amounts of alcohol and wondering if you're too old to go trick-or-treating.
Drink slutty? Drink slutty? Can I be slutty too?
Yeah, sure.
Or am I the copious amount?
I mean, you're always dressed slutty, let's be honest.
Yes, and I drink slutty.
Yeah, drink slightly and dress slutty.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. But no, the moment I love during these moments, Connor.
Yes.
I recently left the hospital.
Why is that funny?
I don't know. I
didn't do anything.
I just love the pain in your face, or in my face.
Oh, I'm enjoying it.
So, I recently left the hospital after a serious case of explosive diarrhea, and on my walk home, I was mistook for Roz from Monsters, Inc. after leaving a rather unpleasant snail trail behind me. What am I doing?
Is Roz his girlfriend?
No, that's Mike Wazowski. That's the
snail.
That's
Roz.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So you'd get that from the snail trail.
Grim.
What am I doing?
Well, my first thought of snail trail was like a man's pubis.
Wow.
Yeah. Not just any man's, yours.
Hey.
Right, go for it again.
Okay, I will repeat it. I recently left the hospital
after
a serious case of explosive diarrhea.
Yes.
And on my walk home, I was mistook for Roz from Monsters, Inc. after leaving behind a rather unpleasant snail trail behind me. What am I doing?
I want to know why you went to the hospital when it's a regular occurrence. Surely you're blacklisted.
Well, that's why I went to the hospital. It's been 7 years.
Surely you've been blacklisted. They won't let you go back.
Yeah, that's true.
What are you doing? Well, we're trying to save the earth. We're on How to Play D&D. We're sustainable people.
Yeah.
And I think you should carry a plastic bag around with you, tied to your hips. A bit like a face mask, but it's on your ass.
Okay. Does that mean I also have to squat halfway while I walk or something?
Yeah, depends on how heavy the load is.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm basically a horse now at this point with just something to collect. Why not? I mean, fair enough. You know what? I like it.
I like that, yeah. What else can I offer to this?
Support, maybe emotional.
No, I mean, yeah,
you could follow me behind with a shovel or something.
We
or
all
with a
shit
jet wash.
ourselves.
Yeah,
we
I'm
all shit
shitting myself
ourselves.
right now.
Doesn't take a holiday to do that.
No,
you know. And should the hospital let me back in? Yes. But they won't.
No, they won't. I wouldn't. If you turned up here one day, even though you live here, and knocked on the door, and be like, Luce, I'm fucking draining my ass. I don't know.
Draining my ass?
Yeah, I would cry and move out.
This is horrible.
Day.
This really is a Halloween.
This is
special.
Halloween. If we're not freaking you out, then we're not doing it right.
This is a fucking mess.
But no, so in the spirit of Halloween, we're going to be discussing ways that you can create a Halloween-themed one-shot or campaign, what enemies you can use, how to increase tension, and what to avoid, and things like that.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll jump straight into the first question. Connor,
okay, hello.
What are some ways that you would make it clear in a session that it's going to be a spooky one, like a Halloween one? Thinking about examples of the atmosphere, how you describe the opening to players.
I would put some music on, some Halloween music,
Okay.
you know, like just tense ambience.
Yep.
And then maybe if it's a Halloween special, I would start with a bit of a narration.
Okay, yeah.
You know?
I like that, yeah.
34 years ago on this day,
Keep it going.
Alandra,
Okay.
a mystical being was slain at the hands of her servants. Today she is being resurrected, and you must stop her.
Oh, okay.
None of that makes any sense.
No, it doesn't.
But
You spoiled the entire session. Thank you.
yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
No, I like it. Yeah.
I was just
No,
rattling.
having some kind of narration at the start. I feel like we might have discussed this previously, but that narration, that period before you actually jump in, I feel like it's good to very much set the scene during it.
Yeah.
I think we actually said a similar thing for the Christmas one. But
Maybe. Makes sense.
But it does make sense for like any kind of... I feel like any horror film, let's say, has that kind of...
Yeah, it puts you into a weird world quite quickly. You go, yeah, all right, I get it.
Yeah, if you've got some kind of basic groundwork understanding of what's going on, what the theme is,
it helps people get into it quicker. If they kind of understand, then it's going to be a bit weird.
Yeah.
If they don't have to like piece it all together immediately.
Do you have any examples of music you'd use? Because you said music there.
Ooh, do you know what? I don't. But not the name. But you know the Simpsons Treehouse Horror intros where they're instantly quirky and spooky. You know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And I'm imagining like clouds and like evil trees kind of like coming apart. That kind of thing.
I feel like it could be good even just... Not even necessarily music, but like sound effects, like having rain or like thunderstorms on a speaker or something. That
creaky
kind
doors.
Yeah, exactly.
Bats.
Or even wind to make it like make it the atmosphere a bit more intense.
Love it. I'm all for it.
Yeah. So, question 2: what kind of enemies would you use for a Halloween session, and would you homebrew any? So, thinking 2 kind of things here. What official ones can you think of, and what kind of things would you homebrew?
I would have zombies, mummies,
any kind of like undead. I'm guessing.
undead, zombies, mummies, ghosts,
vampires, maybe.
You could have vampires. I think all of those are generic, but is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But I think if I was going to homebrew something, it would be like like the kind of the boss.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Just as a bit of a surprise, the boss wouldn't be a baddie like they thought. Like a Frankenstein's monster kind of thing, where
cool.
they're really building up to defeat this thing, and it turns out he's really lonely. That would be quite nice.
I like that, actually. A bit of a plot twist at the end. I like that.
Yeah. And then they're like, well, we should tell everyone tell all these villagers that actually it's just a lonely lady
It's just
called
a
Roz.
sad guy. Called Roz. I'm sorry.
Who shits herself.
Yeah, literally. Maybe that's the session. You've got to clean up the streets of Gotham
Yeah.
from Roz shitting herself.
Horrible.
Could use anything to do with mimics, I was thinking. Like, obviously, at first I was thinking, treants and stuff, because obviously with the trees and stuff, that
makes sense.
could help.
Like undead treants.
Yeah, but if you had any form of mimic that isn't a classic mimic, it's like you go into a haunted house, you open the door or something, and the door handle, you know what I mean? Just things to
or
make
like
it...
you put your hand in like a pumpkin or a bowl of sweets, and it's the mimic. Yeah, that's
anything
cool, actually.
Anything you don't expect, I think, can be helpful in these.
Tell you a really good one, and it would be a difficult homebrew, but if the characters have to put costumes on, the costume one of them puts on is a mimic, and then they have to kind of like do a contested.
I thought you meant at the table.
No, like a contested. Let's say
Even just constitution checks or something. Oh, dexterity.
I was thinking more intellectual. So like, you know, so like if they don't succeed, then they are now controlled by the DM for a little bit. You know, like the mimics kind of working the magic.
That's cool. You know what would be a cool, I think, actually, Halloween thing to do with enemies and also the players? If you had a session where, let's say, you had to save a town, but you message one of the players saying they're a doppelganger or they're a mimic or something, and they have to try and thwart the plan without giving it away. But you actually message that to every single player, so everyone is trying to save the day, but also sabotage it discreetly without everyone else finding out.
Incredible idea.
Could be quite funny.
That's what I didn't think of it.
Yeah, you know what? Forget I've said that, because that's going to be my next session. What kind of, we mentioned it a bit with the music and the narration, but what kind of things would you do to increase the, not only the tension, but like the fear factor of that kind of session?
Jump scares. Okay. It wouldn't be traps, it would be jump scares instead. Exactly the same concept.
As in you just screaming at players randomly?
I would just set things up so, like, you know, if they think they're going to open a door and they step on something and, like, you know, the floor lowers and they go, oh god, it's a trap. And instead, as him, I was going, boo! You know, that kind of... Sorry if anyone's listening.
That made me jump a little bit.
That was the point, but I've just realised people are just going to be listening to this in their ears on the bus. But yeah, that kind of thing, that's great, right? Or something bursts out of them, just a little bit, just little descriptions like that. Maybe really dragging out some of the descriptions to be very, like, ominous.
Yeah.
And you're like going, oh god,
almost.
Do I really want to go down that?
Yeah.
A good reference, which isn't very family-friendly, but... In the first Dead Space, I remember playing that when I was like 14 when it came out. I think it came out at Halloween actually. But there's easy 20 minutes of a section of that game where you just hear like a thud. And then eventually you get to the thud and it's just a guy like headbutting the wall like repeatedly where he's gone insane. And then when you get to him, his skull caves in and he just falls to the floor.
Oh, yeah, you so just 20 make minutes, it, like, horrible. Yeah.
There's nothing going on for 20 minutes other than corridors, but you feel like it could.
You feel like something's going to jump out at you constantly. I feel like a good thing would to use in these situations as well, which kind of going away from the rules a bit, but as long as everyone at the table knows this, is getting rid of any kind of roll for surprising. So let's say if you're going through a haunted house, you get in a room, you're expecting something, but anything in that room immediately gets an attack on you because it's like the jump scare for your character as well. Kind of thing. I feel like that could be good to make it a bit more dangerous.
I'll tell you another good one if we're going down that route. Them going certain places and the perception check being very hard.
Yeah.
And so they get less and less description of the rooms they're in.
Yeah.
But also at some point, if you can do it right, because some players will be pretty pissed. Them losing everything they've got.
Yeah, that'd be
cool.
And
you don't have a room coming up that's like gonna get them killed. But for a moment they feel very vulnerable that they're going into a haunted house with no weapons, no armour.
To be fair, it would be really cool as well, that kind of thing. Let's say you have two players go into a room, one of them gets a 10 on a perception check, the other gets a nat 20, and you describe completely different rooms, even though they're next to each other, just to confuse them so they won't have a clue what's going on.
Imagine we're in the same room, and the DM, I get a low perception, and the DM tells you what you can see, but what you can see is behind me, and I can't see it.
Oh, that's cool,
That would be so... Because you're there going, oh... As a player, you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
But you have no awareness of it as a
What
character.
would be better as well as if you literally whispered to them that, or took them to another room, described it, and then the other player had to watch the fear in their eyes as they walked back.
So good.
I like that.
I'll tell you what, I've not played it, but a lot of people recommend it. Is, you know, what's the game? Is it Dead by Daylight?
Yes.
You can have one of the players be kind of like...
Be the killer.
That's
cool, actually.
And it's just, you know, it's a one shot. It's
like just puzzles and stuff.
Yeah, and they're trying to get out of the house whilst one of them is playing as the... You know,
that would be cool as well, actually. Cause let's say a Dead by Daylight game takes half an hour or something, I think. But it makes sense because in that situation, it'd all have to be turn-based, wouldn't it? So it makes sense. It'd still take 3 or 4 hours.
Turn-based, and all the traps and everything are done by the DM. You know,
that
so
would
like
be really cool.
The same traps that get the players also get the monster. You know,
I do really like that. Actually, that's a cool one.
I'm gonna create this as a game and trademark it.
Oh, fair enough.
Dead by Daylight, the board game. Sorry, Dead by Daylight.
You snoozy lose.
Too fucking slow.
That's beautiful. So, kind of following on a bit from that, would you, let's say you're planning a horror one shot now, or a Halloween themed one, would you want to keep it all serious, like all comical, or a bit of both? And by comical, I mean, you know, like floating jack-o'-lanterns or something. Or would you want it to be that gruesome, spooky vibe?
I think how I run my campaign is meant to be kind of like gothic horror. So there's seriousness, but it's always broken up with a bit of hope and comedy.
Yeah.
So that would be my first thought, but it really depends on the table. Because we've played with people who they would want to play a Halloween special, but 100% don't want anything Halloween entails.
Yes.
And so I think it would depend on the people at the table, that it could be a bit wet, could be a bit My Little Pony-ish, you know, and that some people want that, that's fine. You know, you can, I better say go fuck yourself. Naturally thought go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
But they might want that, and do you know what? If they're the people at my table, then I will write that around them. That's absolutely
as long as everyone's having a good time, doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
It can do both.
Yeah. Exactly. So,
are there any specific locations you could use? Not necessarily from Faerun or Dungeons and Dragons, that kind of thing. We've obviously mentioned the haunted house. That's an obvious one. What other kind of things could you use? And obviously, it could be anything, like a farm. But are there any ones that you immediately spring to mind?
You could do things like farms, haunted houses, you know, like pyramids, like with the Tomb of Annihilation kind of concept, mummies. But I tell you, it would be a good one, and I think it was called this that we played, the 2E, was Tomb of Horrors.
Yeah.
That would be a good concept. But instead of things killing everything immediately, it would be traps. You know, like traps or jump scares.
Yeah.
That would be quite fun, I think. But it really depends on the story. Like, is there anything that you can think of that stands out?
I'm thinking more the other way with it, in terms of rather than like because at first I was thinking, you know, like an open forest or something like that.
Yeah.
But even somewhere like an orphanage or a hospital, or, you know, like literally like
things
a school in a village.
A dentist's room.
Yeah.
Just a single room.
My bedroom. But yeah, things that are almost just creepy and not necessarily spooky,
for no reason. Yeah.
Like, if you do that and you end up in an orphanage, every single person is just going to be thinking, oh, fucking horrible. Like,
and do you know what, like, you know, is it Shadow Dark, that other RPG that's out, where they have a whole kind of like light-based ruling to it, where like if the torches go out, then the monsters arrive. So if you could set that up in the narration at the beginning, and they're in a forest in the day, but as it gets darker, they've got to kind of, they know that they're going to have to put torches on. It's just the timing of it is the horror, you know?
I just thought what would be really cool as well, if you had, because I know one of our players brought it for one of your campaign sessions, or the one he DM'd, if you had like remote control candles and they had to go around lighting them, and you literally were sat there turning them off, so they knew once all of them went off that they'd probably die.
It is a timer in itself.
And that's the panic as well, because I remember in the past I've had like a minute sand timer. I turn it over, no one notices, and one player will see it and freak out.
Love it.
So good. Okay, so last question.
Okay.
What characters from any TV show, movie, game, that kind of thing, do you think you could like use or homebrew as enemies or allies or anything like that for a Halloween-based session? And I've got one immediately, only from the answer you gave to the last question. And I was thinking the creature from, is it A Quiet Place? Is that the one where they have to be silent?
Yeah.
That'd be a cool one, I think, because obviously it'd mean that your players have to think about how they're communicating, are they whispering, that kind of thing. And if you say to them that any talk across the table is counted as like is in game, so they have to whisper at the table as well, I feel like that'd really make it spooky.
That would be good. That's a very good one. No, I think I'll go with something, you know, generic, like Frankenstein's monster, or you know,
like Jason or something. Or...
Yeah, you know, like you know, Van Helsing. You know, that has Igor. You know, he's the servant.
Yeah.
Of like Dr. Frankenstein, that kind of thing, where, you know, like you're unsure if he's the bad guy or helping the bad guy, but actually he's just like misunderstood.
Yeah.
That thing, I think that kind of thing where it's not like just outright feels like it's just there's going to be a fight at the end. I'm kind of, in my head, I'm steering away from it. It's obvious how the ending would be.
Yeah, you don't want it to be too... You don't want to immediately guess what's happening. It's always good to have at least one, like, plot twist, I'll say, in it.
I tell you could do it like Outlast, you know, the game where they've got a light and they could just be doing constant checks for the light. And then having to do perception checks, but all at disadvantage.
Yeah.
and that kind of. Oh, what's the other one? There's the missing tapes, Silent Hill one. Where every time they turn around, it's closer.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a game that you played where it was like that? Is it Five Nights at Freddy's or?
Yeah, there's Five Nights at Freddy's.
That wasn't the one you played though. It was a different. No, one.
There's a Silent something or something like that where you're walking through a forest and everything can hear you, and it's just constant jump scares.
Yeah, I think the checks could really build up.
Yeah.
If you've got some like tense music.
Definitely, it'd be cool as well for that situation, depending on the location. If you're always encountering enemies, but you don't always have to fight them, like in Outlast, where you're walking through and you find people that are crazy or insane and they jump out at you, but you don't have to fight them. You actually have to get away from them because they won't attack you. They'll just freak you out.
That's what I'm going for.
Yeah,
I think.
that's cool. But if the players attack one of them, they'll probably die because they'll all just like converge.
Yeah.
I like that.
Very good,
I think we've mentioned a lot of things.
Good variety there. Yeah, good variety
to create a decent Halloween session.
Yeah.
Now
you're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, us.
Yeah, you're welcome, guys.
We'll have to create one now. But without using the ideas we've said, because now we've heard them.
It's too obvious. Well, I've got a tabletop game to create, so
there we go.
I'm busy
True.
this week.
Sorry, Dead by Daylight. But sorry, guys. With that being all the questions, I wondered what I'd said then. I'm reading off something and it disappeared. But that's all the questions we have today, but we'll be back again next week with the topic. I've got a theme here. If I start hiding laxatives in the sweets that I give out, how long would it take until I can surf the streets of Manchester?
So you can serve the streets
the streets of Manchester.
Christ. That is grim. Well, the worst thing is I'm going to eat them all, knowing the laxatives are in there.
Not long
I know, I saw you put them in there. I'm still going for it.
That's fair enough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and nice. I'll let you continue.
Okay, and as always, thank you for tuning in, and if you'd like to join in on the D&D action, then please follow us on Instagram and TikTok at How to Play D&D, or check out the link in our bio to join our Discord server. And for BTS of sessions, bloopers, blogs, early access to episodes, and even live Q&As, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/howtoplaydnd. And we've even got kind of like a mini podcast on there called Ramblings, where we just go over D&D stuff that's not necessarily topical.
No, it's just ramblings.
And I think there's about 12 on there currently, or 8 or something like that. So
it's somewhere between 1 and 38.
Yeah, there are a lot, and we do them every week as well. Yeah. They come out a day before our episodes, so well worth checking out if you want more of us talking shit.
I don't know who would, but if you do, seek help.
Yes. Well, I've been Connor Kinsey.
I've been Lewis McCaffery.
Good day.
Goodbye.